Let's see what I go tell the others now.
Ellie.
What?
Tell them that Ellie is a little girl who broke her fucking finger!
How did you put it? Tiny little pieces?
Hey, I'm Derek,
And I'm Noah, and you're listening to A Bite of.
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Ooh, new nibble, new week, new episode, new Last of Us. Ooh.
Say it. Say it.
What?
It's the what episode, the
Oh.
what nibble.
Okay, I was going to. You ruined it.
I didn't ruin anything. I'm so excited to hear you say it.
Yeah, okay. It's the penultimate episode of The Last of Us. And it's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything is awesome. It's not.
Before we get into this not harrowing episode of The Last of Us, make sure you're following us on all social media platforms if you want to keep up with us on the day-to-day or know what we're going to do next or just want to say hi. You can find all those down below in the description. If you like the show, you want to support the show, Patreon. Bonus episodes. We got some exclusive Patreon first movie reviews that you guys vote on. Nope is up there currently. Menu's up there, which is very appropriately named for our podcast.
Sometimes it just makes sense.
It
Most
does.
times it doesn't.
So you can find all that there. And then last but not least, subscribe. Leave a little stars, a review if you'd like to. We love to hear it. Share this episode. If you like this episode, tell your friends. Tell the world.
It's so easy on Twitter. You just hit the little retweet. You don't even got to say anything. You just retweet it. They can
Yeah.
see it.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk.
All right, let's
do
take a
it.
look back at The Last of Us episode 7, Left Behind, another jovial
Wait.
chapter.
Wait. Didn't we already? No, we didn't. We didn't talk about this already. Oh, I thought we already talked about, I know we talked about it, but I forgot we had to do a look back on that episode.
We did talk about it, right?
Yeah.
It's very listen, they're so sad. They all just blend together. Did we block an entire week out of our memories? That's what it sounds like.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. It's just so, forget it. Whatever. It's sad. Okay. As Joel lays in a basement on the brink of death, he tells Ellie to go. Just as she's about to leave, we flash back to her days at the Fedra Academy. Riley appears and takes her on a trip to see the 5, escalators included, wonders of the mall.
Oh.
Riley confides in Ellie that she has joined the Fireflies and will be leaving the next day. As the pair dance on a display case in a Halloween store, they share a kiss. The magic moment is broken by an infected. After a fight with the monster, both girls discover they have been bitten. In the present, Ellie finds a needle and thread and begins stitching Joel's wound, refusing to lose someone else close to her.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
This season, you have the one job I do not like because you just remind us of that. And then we get to talk about the current.
Let's relive some traumas. Let's talk about sad things again and then new sad things.
All right. Spoiler alert for The Last of Us. Pretty much season 1. We got one episode left, and I'm not going to spoil the game, so you're fine. You're free. You're free from that.
All right. Let us officially take a bite of The Last of Us, episode 8, When We Are in Need.
Ooh, great title for anything. I just love it.
When we are in need.
Well, it's not the sound of music, but yeah.
Hey, I was doing more of a church choir thing.
So this episode, Joel's still not doing good. He's doing worse. I would say he's doing worse. He can't even keep his eyes open. It's a very not great experience for Ellie, but this episode gives us and Ellie a chance to see a little bit of a role reversal.
Sure.
So it's
Ellie taking the lead.
Yeah, and in the game when this happened, it was very much oh, I'm Ellie. Okay.
I guess we're going to do this.
Yeah, so it was cool to have a very, I want to say Ellie-centered episode.
Yeah.
Aside from the Silver Lake crew, but it was Ellie, and this is what it would be like if you were on your own,
And
sadly.
for someone who is, I mean, on their own for probably the first time, she's learned a lot, she's grown a lot, and she kicks a lot of butt.
Yeah, but, she did ask Joel to really help her with hunting and training, and it would have come in handy just a little bit, but she was still good.
Yeah.
In a little hunting excursion.
She got some things done, maybe not to the way that she wanted to complete them. They probably didn't all go as planned, but she was fearless, and she used some tactics, but, not everything worked out. Listen, she tried her best because Joel is a non-infected person during the time of the infected with an infection.
What an infection to have when infections suck. And there's no medicine.
Yeah, it's like the word is taboo, but the dude has an infection.
Yeah.
It's just it. It's not good. And Ellie is really trying her best. I mean, she has the tiniest little scraps of food.
Ugh.
She found some needle and thread. You couldn't ask for more from her.
Well, medicine. Oh,
She
from
can't
her.
conjure
from her.
medicine.
We can't ask for more.
No, it's like, well, she should be a frickin' pharmacist, a chemist, and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, they didn't teach you that in federal school.
And listen, in Resident Evil, they're mixing herbs to create the ultimate healing object.
I'm sure there's herbs.
In the game, how do you heal in The Last of Us?
You make like med packs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A lot of the game is like finding screws and bolts and like things to make your weapons more durable and also more pointy.
Of course.
So,
Pointy is important.
yeah, there's actually a pretty cool game mechanic in there, but they don't have med packs like they do in
not in the real world version.
this one. Yeah, in the game you have to like after you have a certain amount of med packs, obviously, but the game doesn't instantly heal you when you use it. Like the motion is they're like wrapping their arm and stuff, so things are still coming after you as you're trying to heal yourself. It's stressful.
I was just gonna say that this game is like emotionally manipulative. It's stressful. It's like, and everybody's like, it's the greatest game on earth.
It is. To my grave, I will say until there is one that is better, it's just narratively the best game there ever is and probably ever will be. So you heard it here first.
I believe you.
Cosign Noah. But so this episode, very wintry. It's a harsh winter, but we get to see, another group of people that, aren't great and aren't doing so great, as Ellie calls them, the Hunger Club. They're obviously very hungry, but it's an interesting group to see because, again, the moral compass, where is it? It's the lines that people will go, the things that they need to do, because remember Joel this whole time is like, I've done things in my past. Has he done some of the things that these Silver Lake people have? And I don't know.
I don't know either. And I think there's an interesting juxtaposition here. The last sort of big group that we saw was Tommy's group in Jackson. And they were like, la-di-da, having movie nights, like really understanding how to run civilization in a way. And then we get to these people and you're like, oh, another group. They must really love it there.
No. It's quite apparent from the first scene that we get of them. So they're having some type of funeral. There's a reading that David is doing. Scott Shepherd plays David. The performance in this between Bella Ramsey and Scott Shepherd, this show does not miss. It doesn't miss with these people that they chose to play these characters so well. The nuances, the looks, the smirks. Oh my God. It's amazing.
And between the two of them in their conversations throughout the entire episode, it's like the power keeps shifting between the two of them. It's like, oh, you feel like, oh, David has the upper hand. No, Ellie has the upper hand. And it just keeps shifting back and forth. It's a really interesting dynamic to watch.
Yeah. We get the sense that the first sense I would say in this episode that something isn't quite right with this group is when the young girl of Alec, who had passed away, that they're burying her, his daughter, asks, can we bury him? There's hesitation. There's hesitation there whenever he's talking to James, played by Troy Baker, aka the original voice actor for Joel.
Hello.
Which I was expecting to hear Joel, but I guess it was just acting when he was doing the voice.
He was acting.
Yeah.
He was doing his job.
But that was really the first moment we got like, oh, that's like, why you didn't answer it right away? And I don't like that.
Yeah. And in this scene, I think something else that I took note of is there felt like some people weren't willing to look him in the eye as he was speaking. People were avoiding his gaze, which made it feel like he held power over them and some of them weren't comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's very much like they're his subjects and they have to do whatever he says. They have to go to the readings. They have to go to church or listen to his sermons because they left from Pittsburgh because that Fedra QZ went to hell. What are you going to do? You're in a blizzard, I guess.
I don't know. Write a story together or something. I don't know.
The dynamic between David and Ellie is it's turmoily. It's like you said, who has the upper hand, who doesn't. I love the part where Ellie sees the deer, right? She gets the deer. She's tracking it down, but James and David are the one that finds it. And I just want to say, okay, put it out there, cannibalism. Okay, they eat people, you know. The girl's father, they're eating him.
They didn't bury him because they ate him.
He's currently on like the butcher block.
Yeah, and I've
not.
definitely said in an earlier episode, or maybe it was the Patreon episode, I'm not comfortable with cannibalism.
No, and there seems to be a lot of cannibalism in properties lately.
Telling you, it's trending. Hashtag trending.
It wasn't the game, so 2013.
All right, so they started the trend.
Yeah. But so there's something that they were, they went to cannibalism, right? And there's a conversation before James and David go and find the deer and find Ellie. And like they're having a hard time finding food and hunting. And they sent that group out where Alec died because Joel killed him. Full circle here. But it's like, okay, so this 14-year-old girl just walked outside and 10 minutes later found a deer. Like, are you guys really?
Y'all are doing something wrong.
Are you trying or
did you guys like want to eat each other?
I think David might have. He's violent.
He's like, let's try it. Yeah. It's like very much like he's like, I found religion. I know the body of Christ. It's a body. We got to eat bodies. Yeah. We're eating bodies.
God body, eat body, any body.
Eat, pray, love.
Yeah.
Julia Roberts. Obviously. That's where it led
us. So I thought that was funny because it's like this girl finds it very easily and was able to do it.
My other question though is like, didn't that guy like come swinging at Joel?
Yeah. So
like if they were out looking for, like they should have eaten the monkeys on the campus. Like, why were they trying to kill Joel?
Well, I think it was one of those things, this show and this episode, I think paints different perspectives pretty well. So we got the role reversal where Ellie is going to experience what Joel kind of has to do on a daily basis and what violence, the toll that it has on him. Maybe they thought Joel and Ellie were hunters, just like they thought. Yeah. So that's where I'm saying like the line between good and evil, where the moral compass is, it's very much blurred because are you really going to chance it? I don't know. So unfortunately, Joel did kill that guy.
Yeah, it's like get before you get got.
Exactly. Sort of thing. Exactly. Just be nice. Just be nice.
Just talk to each other.
Yes. God.
Hi. Why you got a bat? What are you doing?
I mean, that is a good point. I don't think they really had guns. So, I mean, I don't
know.
Come on, Joel.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing with Joel, though, right? Is that
swings first, ask questions later.
Well, yeah, he might be sort of a leap before you look person in those types of situations, but in that moment, a couple of days before it, he was going to leave Ellie. So he has finally accepted the responsibility, and in his mind, he cannot fail her
at any chance.
So he needed to get rid of this person that was coming at them.
I mean, not really mad at him. Hard to be.
Unless David was like, yeah, go out there looking for deer, but if you find a human, wink, wink.
Well,
hello.
Only a few people knew.
Nummy.
Especially venison, aka young
full
people.
grown man. Yeah.
Full grown man.
Full grown man. Well, as we know, he does not want the kids to die, the young ones to die.
Well, okay. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about that right now.
I don't want to talk about it ever.
Yeah. The conversation that Ellie and David have, the first one, I think is interesting. And it shows just how fucked up David is, really. So he sends James off to go get the medicine. Great.
Penicillin.
We need it to happen. That way Joel is able to be Joel again.
Yes, the med pack. We needed the med pack.
Yeah, but I'm glad it actually happened, because I was thinking up to this scene, I was like, how is this going to happen? Like, how is she going to get the medicine from them? So I'm glad that David was good on his promise for that. But the conversation is so weird. We find out that he didn't find God until after the apocalypse. But then he also kind of talks about how, he was a violent person before this. Like, he had a violent heart. He's the same way as Ellie. So it's very concerning that he divulges this information. I don't know if he's just trying to connect with her because he thinks that he sees that in her, or they're similar.
Well, it feels a little bit like, don't forget, he already knows who Ellie is.
Oh my God.
Right?
When he revealed that, so eerie.
So he's trying to keep her calm. He's trying to get her trust.
Waiting for James to come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, the thing is that, I think she says something to him like, what are you, a cult? And I don't think he necessarily denies it.
He just said basic Bible stuff.
Yeah. So, and so don't forget, with a lot of cult leaders, they're very charismatic and they have to win people over. And he's playing that game with her.
And he has the thing that everybody needs. So they're very much dependent on him. And he plays into that.
Right.
Yeah. It's very culty.
Yeah.
Cannibal culty.
The place is bad. It is
also,
not the winter resort I want to go to.
You guys are in a winter resort. Like, there's not be nice. Don't eat each other.
Yeah. These people they're miserable. They're just really miserable. And, I don't know. I keep going back to Tommy because it's like, how did they figure it out?
Communism.
There you go. That's the answer.
Yeah. And they also had Maria running it. Like, I mean, come on. You can't have this freaking dude running it because obviously he just thinks to eat people.
A dude that was once maybe violent in some way.
But also a math teacher.
Well, that's your number one. Watch out for the math teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
No offense to any of the math teachers out
there. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
The scene where Ellie finally gets back to Joel. She escapes for a minute, gets back to Joel. I loved the realistic approach to her being like, I don't know where to put this medicine. Into the wound? Yeah.
I get
it seemed to work.
I'm just thinking does she have to find a vein? What's happening? But yeah, into the wound works. Although Noah and I are both allergic to penicillin, so we were watching this going, that would have been bad.
Yeah, and
that would have been bad for us.
What if he was too? And he didn't have enough energy to tell her, don't do penicillin.
And I kept thinking, how many milligrams does she know to put in? Just
half.
Half, right? Half the needle. That's fine.
The syringe is huge, and she's like half of it.
You just can't think. In those moments, you can't be thinking about that stuff. You just have to act.
It's aggressive therapy. Yeah, antibiotics.
Exactly.
But she got 2 injections in, and it seemed like that's all that was needed.
2 doses.
Yeah. Oh my. Okay. Cannibal scene. We have to mention it.
Which one?
Well, the one.
The stew one?
The stew one. So they're not even back with the deer yet. We see that they have a whole bucket of meat, which is a big red flag because they just said they didn't have meat.
Well, it was funny because I'm watching it going like, wow, they really chopped that deer up real quick. Nope.
No.
They didn't even get back yet.
Very select few people know about the cannibalism and eating the dead and everything. The fact that this man not only slaps the shit out of the daughter of the person they're about to eat so hard that she flies off her chair, but then watches her eat her father.
And then how about the fact that he has the biggest plate?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's messed up because he got more food than everyone because he's the leader or whatever.
Let's talk about portion size.
But seriously, these people were scraping the bowl after 2 spoonfuls. But he's sitting there eating a giant mound of her dad, looking at her, smiling.
Yeah.
The dude is not okay.
Yeah, he's not great. It's great, though, for television and for story because he's like the most clear-cut villain we've had this entire time. He's bad. He's bad news bears. He's not great.
Agreed. The bears are indeed bad
Yeah.
news.
When he goes back and says that we found the people that killed Alec, we're going to bring a search party together to go find her. They do find her. They find her. And unfortunately, one of the saddest casualties of the season is Callus, the horse. How dare? Like
Y'all.
good boy.
Y'all. This episode, though, they were like, guess what? Deer, dead. Guess what? Eating humans. Another thing. Gonna shoot this horse. What is happening? I am so like too many things are dying. I can't deal with it.
Well, we have one more episode, so.
Oh my God. Now they're just going to be killing dogs. Just
No.
left and right.
Never. They don't kill dogs in this. That's crossing a line. Callus the horse? Yes. Dogs? No.
That horse did such a good job.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
The moment that she's caught is very upsetting because it's I feel like one of the first moments, because we've seen flashbacks in the Riley episode. We knew that what she was going through isn't futile because we see her in the present. This one, it's so much loss of control. It's so much like Joel is down there, your protector. You're by yourself with men surrounding you. It's terrifying. And James is an interesting character in this that he had no problem wanting to kill her. And I don't know if it's because he actually believed that it's another mouth to feed or he just wanted vengeance for killing Alec.
I also think there's something to be said about James knowing more about David than maybe some of the others do. I think that in that decision, in that moment, I think it's vengeance, mouth to feed. And I also think it's sort of a thought of saving this girl from him.
Yeah, I got that a little bit too. Like he almost didn't it would be better if he just put her out of her misery instead of subjecting her to David.
Right.
Which is like, guys, if you don't there's more of you than him. Come on.
But that's the thing though. I mean, like that is the thing about cults. How does one person gain control over
so many,
sometimes hundreds of people?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And like you're saying, it's like, but it's one person. How does one person, I don't know. It's just humanity.
Yeah.
And in a time of need, we for some reason need that one person to look to, even if they're extremely flawed.
When we're in need, look to David.
No, don't do it.
The cage scene with David is probably one of my, I think the rest of this episode, so the climactic ending and everything, I think it's one of my favorite parts of this season so far because one, they didn't hold back. They really went full force into just this violent, raw conversation and explosive climax. But also it was shot really well. And this, saying it again, Bella Ramsey, if she does not get an award of some sort, like any award, like HBO should just make one up for her. It's just phenomenal. It's so good. The way that these characters play off of each other. And you can see this moment with her where she is very scared. She's backing away from the gate or the fence, and David's trying to get to her, trying to peel back the layers a little bit. But then I think she sees that she might be able to play it a little bit, and she starts getting closer to him. And that's when things get a little more icky than I thought they could have been. It's not fun.
Yeah, and I think this scene illustrates the thing I was talking about before of sort of the push and pull between them. One of the things I really loved was the blocking of this scene, like you were saying. And for the first few moments, it really was like they were like ends of a magnet, where the closer he would try to get to her, she would push away from him. And she kept angling herself so that she was nowhere near him, because in a way, she really was a caged animal and she was ready to lash out, but she knew that she had to plan her strike well.
Yeah.
And so when she saw him, again, trying to groom her, trying to bring her in, trying to convince her to be a part of their group, she knew that she could lean into that and use it against him.
Yeah, the moment of, you think that he's just trying to recruit her, right? And just join the cult. You're violent just like me. He says a violent heart, which I think, Craig Mazin, and inside the episode, if you watch it, I like what he said about that, because a violent heart is a line that they added to this, and it almost describes Ellie and how you feel about her. And he said, you love her, but you're also terrified of her.
Mm-hmm.
And that really sums up Ellie as a whole.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he relates to that, and you can see that.
Yeah.
Because he does have that charisma. He does have that warmth almost. And it seems like at first he does care for the people. But then there's those nasty, dark parts that he wants to show in private and when people are at their most vulnerable.
I feel like Ellie in this episode is in the center of sort of this Venn diagram. And on one side is David and on the other side is Joel. And David is sort of, Joel is like chaotic good and David is chaotic evil. And in this episode, it's kind of like she's going back and forth between what kind of chaos she's going to be in the world.
Yeah.
Because as we know Joel now, yes, we know his past he did some bad things, but he exists in this plane of chaos, but for good. Now. Whereas David is chaos, but bad.
Yeah.
And so we see Ellie sort of like swerving in between these two things because it almost seems like she has both facets of those two people. But it's like, which way is she going to end up leaning? And that's sort of the question.
Yeah. And it will be interesting to see how they continue her arc, because she is violent. And I think that she sees the toll that it took on Joel. And she feels that by the end of this episode. But how she deals with that and how Joel cares for her after that is really going to be the deciding factor between if she's going to go more David's side, obviously not totally David's side, but just more violent, or more healing and dealing with it in a little bit more of an appropriate way.
Sure.
With Joel.
It's like violence for good, to create good in a way, violence to get rid of bad people, or violence to just be evil, violence
and there's
for control.
The survivability factor of this world that they're in now. The violence is a thing that is always going to happen.
Absolutely.
And you're going to need to do it, unfortunately, because there are the Davids there. There's the Kathleens. Doesn't mean that you seek that out. And that's really where David falters in that. I mean, the moral compass is completely shattered. And I think that in most
the
of this
compass
episode,
is just spinning.
Yeah, it's not a compass anymore. It's just a nice decorative thing that doesn't give a shit.
It's exploded.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, morality is not necessarily a thing as we know it, in real life, where there's like sort of, I think a lot of times there's black, there's white, there's gray, but it just feels like there's nothing in
necessity.
This world.
Almost. Yeah. Right.
It's not, morality is something that you don't really have time to think about in a lot of situations, because it's either you act or they act.
It's almost in the instances like Joel in the episode where he decided to keep going for Ellie. That's almost the instances where morality is showing itself and where you feel that tug, like, okay, this is the right thing to do. I should be doing this. I shouldn't subject my brother that is going to be having a baby to go on this journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, the cage scene, the moment that he puts his hands on the rail, and she kind of goes in there, but then he kind of cups him a little bit. I just like that. Those things I don't like. In any horror that I read, I don't like it's like a child wife type situation. Like, you really got that feeling from him, and it's just so uncomfortable. Obviously, it should be. But like the lengths that this dude is trying to go, he just met her. Like, I mean, you don't know her.
Yeah. That's the thing I think that's so sort of gross about it, is that he just immediately, he's like a predator and she is prey.
Yeah.
And he's just immediately ready to attack.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, and layered on top of the cannibalism, and Ellie again is 14, and we're seeing her have to like put all these puzzle pieces together and look at the picture and then figure out how to get out of the picture.
I think the moment that she realized that it's not going to go well like she has to get out and get back to Joel, is when she asked about her friend in this scene. And, you know, he's like, if you do this, you know, whatever, you can come and it'll be fine. And she was like, and my friend. And he was like, well, we'll see. Like he hesitated. And that's when I think she was like, okay, it's not going to go well. Like I can't, if Joel doesn't make it out of this alive, if I can't protect him, I can't be here and I need to get out.
Right.
And she tries so hard.
She almost gets those keys.
She like breaks his finger. She tries to get those keys. He slams her head into the bars multiple times. And one of the coolest things that she has said this entire season so far, she says her name, and then she was like, tell them the little girl Ellie is the one that broke your fingers. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my gosh.
So good. Talk about a line just delivered.
Yeah, and like from this point, I mean, her acting throughout, her performance throughout the entire episode is so good. But from the cage on out, it's just watching a transformation
so
of Ellie.
Suspenseful, so tense,
So full of rage.
I mean, it's just so good. These are the scenes that they had to nail for this show to be successful, because they could have easily just did it and didn't really sit with it or didn't really go to that extreme, because we haven't really gotten infected. I mean, we got infected in the last one, but it was a flashback. And they said that it's going to be sparse. The violence is going to be sparse. And when it does happen, it's going to mean something. And they delivered in this episode. This episode was very violent.
I mean, just talking about the violence. So our friend Joel, he does wake up in the basement and he takes two of these guys hostage and does some things that had me closing my eyes, going like, no.
Yeah, this scene is very infamous with the having him mark where they are and where Ellie is on the map with the knife that he just pulled out of the guy's knee. He's pissed. He's so pissed. And this is a glimpse of the Joel that was before Ellie. Like, this is rage Joel.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about Joel's anger, that it's not only at the outside forces, but it's also, I think, a lot of internal anger. You know, I think it's that thing of, how did I let her get away? How did I get hurt? How did I let this happen? Yeah. And so that's a big driving force in all of this, is his own anger towards him getting hurt or making a bad decision. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to save her.
Yeah. I love the role reversal of this episode. You expect him to save her. You expect, because that's what's been happening this entire time. Leading up to when Joel finally gets reunited with Ellie, him seeing the trail of blood, seeing the backpack, seeing the bodies. I mean, just like thinking about what he must be thinking in that moment. And he still, even though he doesn't know if she's dead or not, or where she is or what happened to her, he still grabs her backpack. And he's like, I'm going to find her. Like, she's going to be okay. I'm going to find her. It's just, like, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry for these two characters.
I did when she fell off the horse, her backpack goes flying, and
she flew off the horse.
I was like, no, her pun book. She needs her pun book. And then she got it back. Joel got her backpack for her.
Yeah. So, okay, the fight between David and Ellie, so terrifying. It was probably one of the scenes that felt the most like the game, because you see David trying to lure her out.
The taunting.
Saying things, taunting her, and she's trying to hide. She's hiding behind things. She's running to the other side.
Crouch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, what is going to happen? Lights the place on fire. Amazing backdrop. I mean, why not? Good luck with your shelter now.
You stupid son of a bitch.
Yeah. But the moment where he does get the upper hand a little bit, and it seems like he's about to assault her in a different way, which is like
going to, yes.
Like, dude, I mean, just one, the place is burning down. Like, that's how awful this guy is.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He can't even have that awareness of like, your guys are gonna die.
Well, he's so hell bent on just, ugh.
Yeah.
Being
and
horrible.
She gets the upper hand with that meat cleaver, the same one that killed saddled James. But oh man, and she goes in. All the rage, everything just pours out onto David's face with the meat cleaver.
I had this moment when she was laying into him like that, where at first I was like, yes, get him. But then as it kept going, you're like, wait a minute, this means something more. Because I feel like in a lot of movies or television shows, when a scene like this happens, the person leaves and they're like, yeah, I did it. It's been awesome. But you could see in this moment that something else is happening.
Yeah.
That she has crossed the line that she's never going to be able to back away from.
I mean, look at, the first time she really killed somebody was to save Joel. And it was a moment that she had to act right then and there, and she brushed it off. In this one, the amount of things that she's having to do, she's faced with so much violence, and actually being the one to carry it out is so much different than somebody protecting you and doing it for you. And she's seeing that firsthand. And for her to just not be able to stop when clearly he's done. I think by like whack 2, he's probably done. But then after 17, there's something changing. This character's changing. They're developing into something that could go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And when she gets out of that lodge and she just like nothing, like she's obviously terrified and but she's just going. She just needs to go.
Yeah.
And she just starts walking.
She's on like autopilot.
Autopilot, yeah.
She's just out of there.
Joel finding her and she freaking out because she doesn't know. She's just
Who has me now?
Yeah, rage mode. Oh, she goes in for that hug. And
I cried.
Cried. And it's hard to talk about this because it's so good. They did it in such a way where you're like, oh my God. Like, this wasn't just the person overcoming the enemy. This is more.
This is the true loss of innocence. This is it. It's over. She has fully crossed over into being an adult at 14 years old. There is nothing that can take her back from this.
Yeah. Her saying he tried and then him stopping her because he knows. He knows that anything that was in there, you didn't deserve any of it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to tell me right now. And he just holds her and says, baby girl, which he hasn't said since Sarah. And I love the shot. It's a sad shot, but I love when it shows her back and he's holding her and the watch is really the center of that shot. And it's just, oh man. And he's fully developing into this. She's not cargo anymore. She is more than that. And she's developing into rage and violence and experiencing that. But it's nice to see her want Joel. You know?
Well, I mean, at the end of it all, that's what she went through all of this for, to save him. And we've been talking a lot about morality in this episode, but I think even though she has all this rage, her moral compass points her to knowing that this is a good person. This is a person I have to save. This is a person who means a lot to me.
And she can identify with.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that bond is what is driving her, what drove her through this entire episode. And that bond is also what drove Joel through the second half of this episode. They are forever bonded now. And it's gone past, like you said, cargo. It's a father and a daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is beautiful to see. It's unfortunate that we have to see it in these circumstances. I just wish they'd stay in Jackson. Just stay with them. But there is the question. I don't think we talk about it that much. And I don't think it's really brought up that much in the show because so much stuff happens is she has to save everybody.
Yeah.
Like she still has that responsibility, the hope that this could possibly be the thing to save the world. But there's also that question of, okay, a cure can be made. Then what?
Right. How
do you rebuild a world that knew what it was before and has grown to the after? How do you do that? Like, is there, I'm real quick. I just want to know, is there a story that anybody knows of, like a book or whatever, of a world rebuilding after that? Because I can't think of one.
Well, actually, now I haven't read the book World War Z, but the movie World War Z took a lot of liberties, I believe, of what actually World War Z was about. And the book World War Z, I'm pretty sure, is actually about rebuilding the world after the spread. of the zombies.
Interesting. I did hear that it was very different from
Yeah.
the book, and they focused on like one story.
Yeah.
When there was more in that, but that's interesting. I might have to actually read that at some point.
Yeah, because it's very. I mean, I really liked the movie, but I remember hearing that it really was not the storyline of the book per se.
Good movie though.
Oh, love that movie, so good. But I do think that I wonder like, okay, so let's say we get Ellie's blood, I don't know, spin it around a bit, and then we have the cure.
I think there's more than that. But
It's like. What are you going to do for the thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that are zombies already? Like, that's not going to fix that problem.
Well, I think it would make it easier to be able to exterminate
If you
them.
got bit, you could heal yourself. But
or you wouldn't change. So, because
Right.
that's the thing about, and that's what separates it from some other zombie things. You know, Walking Dead, everybody's infected already. Because when you die, you turn into a zombie.
Right.
This one, you can die. But as long as you didn't get infected or bitten, you're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought to think about because this world, and we see the Kathleens, we see the Davids, we see how the QZs work, we see Fedra, and it's like, can it rebuild? I mean, it's going to be so fractured.
Right. Absolutely.
There wouldn't be states how they were, you know?
Hey guys, we found the thing. Oops, we killed you.
Like it would just be Marlon and Florence just being the best people and fine.
I'm telling you, we need that spinoff. I think they need to make a bonus episode of this season of just the two of them so that we could all just breathe for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just an episode of their life. Just being delightful in that cabin. We need to decompress.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, this episode being as awful as it was for television and for story's sake, really good. It's what makes this property and what made this video game so good because of the way it's written. And it's not just, oh, there's a cannibal. It's not just that. It's so multi-layered than that it's just so good.
You know, I think there's also another layer of this that is creepy is that they spend the big storyline throughout this is that they spend time hoping not to get bitten by other humans. And then this group of people is willingly eating other humans.
Yeah. I mean, she almost saved herself when they were about to chop her up. And she's like, I'm infected. Which, don't tell people that you're bitten and infected because we have to safely get you to the fireflies.
But that was her last resort. That's the only thing she had to use at that point.
And I'm curious. I mean, I would assume that if somebody is infected and somebody ate infected meat, I would assume that they would get infected.
But also, is she technically infected? She was bitten. She doesn't have the effects of the infection, but if she bites someone, do they get infected?
Oh, well,
I
don't, maybe not. Maybe, well, it's probably one of those, guys, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a diseaseologist and stuff like that, but
diseaseologist.
You would think that everybody would be after the pandemic, but no. I mean, it's probably one of those things where it's in her, but it's not active.
It's like HPV.
Yeah. But so, I mean, because the readers that show if you're infected or not shows that she is infected. So whatever it's reading, it could still show that she's a carrier, but she might not be able to pass it.
I guess. No, I guess. Yeah.
Neil Druckmann, tell us. Hello.
We're asking a very important question.
Oh, how about this? Eben Bolter, if you're listening to this, text Neil Druckmann and then tell him to go onto Twitter.
Yeah.
And at a bite of pod.
Yes.
And answer if Ellie bites somebody, do they become infected?
Yeah. Important. This is an important question.
Yeah. Or if anybody knows, just comment below and tell us.
Oh, comment below.
So we have one more episode left. One more episode. And it looks to be a lot. I heard that it's like 45 minutes.
Really?
Which makes it like the shortest
I thought
episode.
you were going to say it was like 2 hours.
No. Like
wild.
Crazy to me. We're supposed to get fireflies again because that's the end of the first game. Apparently they're adding Anna, who is Ellie's mom, into this, played by the voice actor that voiced Ellie.
That's so cool.
So cool. And also the journey to get to the fireflies. So It's
in
going to be
45 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe Bella Ramsey said that the season finale is going to divide people dramatically.
It's going to be such a cliffhanger. I know it. Oh my gosh. It's going to be brutal.
I mean, imagine we're going to wait 2 years for season 2.
I'm going to be like, please show the last season on The Last of Us in 2 years. So I can remember.
Or just listen to this podcast.
That's true. I'll just set aside 9 hours to listen to us again.
Oh, man. All right. Well, next week, the finale.
This is it.
This was the penultimate episode.
Woo.
Finale next week. And so hopefully the next thing that we talk about will not be as sad.
Fingers crossed, please.
We'll see. Handmaid's Tale coming up next.
Oh my gosh. All 3-4 seasons and the books. No.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Bite of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at A Bite of Pod, and on Facebook at A Bite of. If you have any questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can contact us on abiteofpod.com. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to spread the word. See you next time on A Bite of. Bye.